What's up, everybody? Patsan Sports here, back at you with another podcast. Today we'll be discussing Michael Jordan versus Tom Brady, who is the GOAT of all GOATs, and we're joined here by TJ.
What's up, everybody? It's TJ.
Yep, he actually is representing a fitness brand. We'll leave the link in description. And yeah, TJ, who do you think is the GOAT of all GOATs?
Um, Man, I have to go with Michael Jordan. No disrespect to Tom Brady, but I think if we look at everything to like holistically, like resume, dominance, a global impact, all variables. Like if you consider every single variable, I think Michael Jordan just wins. I don't know how big the margin may be because I'm not the biggest football fan, but I do know Tom Brady has quite the resume as well. But I'd still have to go with Mike, just considering the fact that the time he did play, there was no debate who was the best player, and like his dominance, like if you look at his numbers, if you give him the same amount of time, let's say of a player of like LeBron James or like Kobe, he'd easily pass Kareem, and his all-time records would be unbreakable, in my opinion.
Okay, I go with Brady, because I'm more of a football fan, and I just see the football aspect versus the basketball aspect, and that's kind of my main thing that I'm looking at. Because in football, it's much harder to succeed at by yourself rather than in basketball, where one player can just win a championship, like we just saw with Kawhi. I mean, if he wasn't on the Raptors, who knows if they would have won. Same thing, the Kevin Durant had a big effect on the Warriors. And so
I mean,
that's
that's
why
not the best example. That's not the
yeah,
best
that's not the best
example.
example, but the point gets through. I guess Kawhi is a good example. Kevin Durant was okay. But yeah, Brady's had so much success that it's ridiculous when you compare it to other NFL players that they haven't even come close. And then when you look at accolades, they both have 6 rings. But what separates Brady is all of his individual records that he broke and the relative comparisons to other NFL players.
Um, it's interesting you bring up the relative comparison in the accolades because although I do give Brady the nod, he does have those titles. So does Michael, and Michael has five NBA MVPs to Brady's three NFL MVPs, right? And Michael Jordan also, like, if you think about it, if you really want to compare the sports, like in terms of like dominance as an athlete, which shouldn't be a fair comparison in my opinion, but Michael Jordan had to play both ends of the floor when Brady was throwing a like I don't want to degrade his like achievements, but he was throwing a football. He's a quarterback, right? He didn't
But that's
play
the
both
nature of the
ends.
sport.
Exactly. Like that's not nothing against him. I just wanted to point that out in terms of being an athlete and sustainability. Like we need to question why Tom Brady is so like why is there so much longevity in his career, right?
Okay,
If
but
Michael
TJ, we're
Jordan,
we're comparing we're comparing who is better at their respective sport. Is Tom Brady better at football than Michael Jordan is at basketball?
I still would go with Michael just because if you look at what he did, okay, you how many seasons did Michael play? 15, right? Out of those 15, the last two with the Wizards, if you want to count them, go ahead, but I don't count them. That one season the second season where he got injured, he only played 17 regular season games, which was his second year in the league. I don't really consider that a full season. And his returning season in '95, when they got beat by the Orlando Magic, he played the second, not even the half a season. He came back, I think, a month before the playoffs. So if you really think about it, Michael Jordan played 12, yeah, 12 legitimate, 12, maybe even 11 legitimate seasons. And in those 11 seasons, he played nearly 82 games every single season. And he had, not to mention the playoff games,
But
the
with the
Olympics.
Wizards, with the Wizards, he played the whole season, correct?
Yes,
So I would
I
count
believe
that as a
so. In
full season.
2003.
Yeah, I would
Yeah, I
count it.
counted. I'm talking about peak years because Michael Jordan was 39 on the Wizards, and I don't know.
Well,
Father Time is undefeated. Like you
but
can't. I mean,
Brady's 41. So
but you can't compare. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Michael Jordan's play style versus Brady's play style. Like he's not. I just went through all those games, all those seasons. His play, like the way he got beat up. He's a smaller player. Like all those things, if you take them into account, Brady should be more sustainable. I'm
but
not saying football
I
is
do
a
give
more
Brady
physical
the
sport.
edge in longevity because he's played
Of course, I get.
much long.
Yeah, but you need to consider the context of Michael Jordan's career. Like he could have played those 2 seasons in between. He could have not retired in '99, the lockout year. I don't know if you've seen the new documentary from ESPN. The '99 year when Michael Jordan retired. that wasn't he would like they had to retire. He retired because Phil Jackson got fired, right? And that year, I believe, it was a lockout season, only 50 games. If you give the Bulls 50 regular season games with all that additional rest, there's no question in their mind they would have four-peated and won that title like, over the Spurs. Because if you forget, the New York Knicks, which the Bulls terrorized in the most of the 90s, they pushed Tim Duncan, the young Tim Duncan, and David Robinson to 7 games that series.
Okay, but Michael Jordan in 15 seasons went to 6 NBA championships, whereas Brady went to 9 in 19, basically 18 because he was injured for the whole season in one of them.
Okay, what's Brady's finals record?
Yeah, so I'd rather give it to someone who's 6 for 9 than someone who's 6 for 6 because that shows that you've actually got into the finals more, meaning you're
But
better.
we know very well that Michael Jordan would have went to 9, maybe 10 NBA finals. Those 2 seasons in between the season in 99 and potentially even in 2000 because you forget Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers played Shaq and Kobe in 2000, right? You don't think Jordan had one more year left, the Bulls?
Yes, he
With
might
Scottie
have. He
Pippen's
might have done
horrible,
it, but that's
Scottie Pippen's horrible contract, which they probably could have built a team around.
but that's all speculation. I'd rather take real life facts over speculation.
Well, the thing about it about speculation in this scenario, like you can't. They're like it's so blatantly obvious to me that they would have won in 94, 95. That like I don't like the way the NBA was structured in the 90s. There weren't players moving around like they are today. So like I really don't think it's much speculation in my opinion. But I guess you have a point. If it didn't happen, it didn't happen. So I shouldn't bring it up.
Yeah, the only place where I really give the edge to Jordan is in the playoffs. He's been insanely good in the playoffs. I think he's 30 for 7 in series, which is ridiculous compared to Tom Brady, who's somewhere more around 30 for 11 or 31 for 11, which is worse. But not much worse, but yeah, it is worse. Whereas
Okay,
All-Star
let's.
recognitions, they both have 14, which I'd give the edge to Jordan because he has 14 in
Jordan has
15
more.
seasons.
He has more first team All NBAs and. But anyways,
But those are just
let's
accolades. But when you look at the whole scheme of things, Brady's
can
actually
we shift?
first. Brady's actually
Can
first in
we
NFL career passing touchdowns, whereas Jordan is fourth in points.
we can argue these type of stats all day, but can I bring something up? Can like who do you
Sure.
think in terms of like because we can talk about stats accolades like we don't know how well they like correlate, right? But we can talk about impact, um, not just like jersey sales and whatnot because both of these guys they're the best in their respective fields, right? They're gonna run up the statistics in that sense, but like who
Sure.
do you think had a bigger impact globally and just the aura and perception around the actual athlete? Like who do you think is a bigger like icon?
Well, I'm sure like a lot of quarterbacks growing up nowadays want to be like Tom Brady. They want to win 6 Super Bowls. They want to win multiple
Quarterbacks,
rings.
but who do you like if you go on the street or if you ask any basketball player, any athlete, even football players included, I'm sure Michael Jordan is one of their top athletes, if not the best, like their favorite. You know what I mean?
But
Like
there's a lot of debate in basketball for people wanting to be like LeBron growing up now instead of like Jordan.
But like you really think about it, Michael Jordan has shoe line. It's so popular. Like he's not just the player, like the brand, like everything, like his whole like aura, like around him. Like, can you argue? Can you really argue make an argument for Tom Brady in that sense?
I mean, the shoe line is more so a basketball
No,
thing.
no, not
Football
just the
players don't
shoe
really
line.
have shoes.
I'm just saying Jordan Brand and like there's football players that are signed to Jordan Brand. There's baseball players. I'm just saying the impact of the individual, like how transcendent they are. I'm not talking about the sports.
I don't know. There's a lot of Tom Brady fans out there. He leads the league in jersey sales every single year. I mean, he
Without a
just
doubt, without a
moved.
doubt. But
He just to prove it to you, he just moved to Tampa Bay, and there's the leading jersey sales. 6 out of the top 10 states are states from the New England area, which means the New England Patriots fans are actually more loyal to Tom Brady than they are to the Patriots.
I mean, that's not unheard of. It's called bandwagoning. Like look at look
No,
at
it's
LeBron.
being loyal to your favorite player.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair enough. But which is called bandwagoning.
The fact that
Anyways,
Michael Jordan is being compared to LeBron James, who's won like 3 rings only out of what is it, nine appearances? That's like ridiculous. Tom Brady has no comparison. I mean, they can't even compare him to anybody other than like Joe Montana, who went 4 for 4.
What about Peyton Manning?
I don't. Nobody really makes comparisons for Peyton Manning.
I
It's
mean,
he's 2 for 4. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but
I mean,
because of Brady being in his division,
LeBron's a great player. The fact that the reason there's so many comparisons, if you really think about it, it's the media, it's for the headlines. Like if you really think about it, LeBron's a great player. The reason it's not the accolades is why they compare him. It's what he does, his actual play style. That's why I said context is so important. LeBron could have won 5 titles, legitimately had a chance to win 5 titles. It's circumstances, teams, the Warriors, like you can't like. I'm not saying don't count them because they didn't happen. You're completely right, but
true,
you really gotta think of like he's so like why he's so held in such high regard, right?
true, but he should have.
Same thing
There's
with
there's
Mike.
there's so many
Like
championships that he could have won outside of the Warriors. Like that was like 4 of his losses.
exactly no, not even that. I'm just talking about the context. You go back to Michael, like the scoring totals, the assists, rebounds. He played 12, 13 legitimate seasons, and if you and in those seasons, I think like he won 10 scoring titles, 10 of 13, 10 of 15. That's ridiculous either way. If you count all or some or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
uh,
okay, that's some good stats. That's why I'm saying there's not really you can't really pick one to win. I
there's
mean,
been no other player since Wilt Chamberlain in the 60s, and you know how dominant he was. Like Kevin Durant, who's looked at one of the best scorers in our league, 4 scoring titles. Allen Iverson, 4. Kobe Bryant, 2. LeBron James, 1. Like it's not an easy task. And
yeah,
even
well,
Russell
being
Westbrook,
a
who's considered
quarterback in
a stat
football is.
pattern, has 2.
But going back to the sports comparison, I mean, being a football quarterback is very difficult because there's so many things that you have to do. You have to line up the players, you have to call the plays, you have to call audibles, see where the
So
receivers are, pick who to pass
let's
to.
not compare
Whereas
it. Let's
Jordan is
act,
it's more simple tasks.
let's not actually compare, but it's more physically taxing. Let's not lie about that.
Okay,
But
sure. Even though football's
but
more competitive, I
football
mean,
as a sport is more physically. You need to be more physically imposing. But there's so many more positions. It's not 5 on 5. There's 11 people on the field per team, right?
Exactly. So if you can sustain that kind of success over a long period of time, that means that you must be better because it's very hard to do.
I'd have to disagree, man. I'm talking about you're comparing a team player now. Like you got to really think. I'm talking about the person, like in their respective fields. Like Michael Jordan dropped 63 on Larry Bird in his second season
Yeah,
on a
Tom
team
Brady
with
threw five
four
touchdown
Hall of Famers.
passes. Tom Brady threw 4 or 5 touchdown passes in 1 quarter, which I think is one of the records for a single game as well.
Um,
There's like I don't think that Jordan would hold more records in basketball over Brady. I mean, he's just had his list just keeps going and going and going.
well, as I said on numerous occasions, Jordan's records aren't really Jordan's records. They should, considering the context of his career. But I'm not here to debate stats. But like back
Okay,
to what I
but
was saying.
how about the fact that Jordan's team
Looking. Okay,
How about
yeah,
the fact
go.
that Jordan's team, when he won those 6 or 7 rings, they were basically, for the year in and year out, they were basically the same team. What a couple, very few additions and minuses. Like they
No,
always had those the core players around. Whereas Brady had to play what over the course of his career, he's thrown a touchdown pass to 77 different players. I mean, that's ridiculous.
the only player that he really had for the first 3 Scottie Pippen. Before that, he had Charles Oakley and a bunch of I can't even remember. And then second 3P they added Dennis Rodman and some good. I'd say their second 3P team was actually much better than the first. The
Okay,
first the first three it was pure dominance, youth and dominance.
but for the first three, it's the same people, and then for the second three, it's just around the same people. Brady's won with so many different people that the fact that he's been able
Well,
to grow chemistry with them is crazy.
you're comparing like the nature of the leagues are completely different times. Like as I said, like Pippen's contract, like he was locked up for what 7, 8 years.
Yeah, okay. But I guess you're right about the comparison. So I think we're drawing to a conclusion here, this 15-minute mark. So you guys can leave in the comments whoever you think is the winner of this
All
argument. I don't
very
think
well
there's a
considered.
Yeah, I don't think there's a definite argument, as TJ said. A definite winner, I meant. But anyways, yeah, we're just gonna sign off. See you guys later.
All right, see ya, man.